This is an Eye on Annapolis special update.
Hey, joining us this morning is Senator Mary Washington out of Baltimore. And you guys may be asking, why do you have a senator from Baltimore here when you got one like over across the creek over in Annapolis? But there is a good reason. First of all, welcome, Senator Washington. How are you this morning?
I'm good. I'm glad to be here, and I trust everyone is staying safe and taking care of each other in this difficult time.
What a crazy time.
Yeah.
Did you sign up for this when you became a delegate back in 2010 and a senator in 2018? Did you ever have any thought that we would be living in a pandemic?
I did know that I wanted to be in a position to be able to help my neighbors and to help my community and to help make the important decisions that we have to make. And I don't think any of us anticipated the degree to which we need to work together. But I definitely, when you sign up for public office, you sign up for all of it. It's in good times and bad times. It's like being married. You stick with it. You make a promise. You stick with it.
I guess it's the good, the bad, and the ugly. Well,
yes.
You were first elected to the House of Delegates in 2010.
Yes.
You served 2 terms there and decided you wanted a promotion and decided to run for senator against then Senator Joan Carter Conway, right?
Yes, I asked my constituents if they thought they liked the job I was doing as a delegate. Then hopefully they'll love what I do as their senator. And for that vote, it looks like enough people agreed with the idea. So I'm glad to serve.
And you have just finished your second session.
Yes.
I guess I could say your first and 5/8 session or something like that, because we went a little bit earlier, but
right. Yes. Yeah. We ended March 18th. Did not anticipate that, of course. So we had another month or so to go. So we did what we had to do in terms of giving the governor what he needed in terms of budget, and also setting some policy around healthcare and unemployment. And
education,
we did what we could.
sure.
Yes, education, absolutely, and passing the education bill, the transformative bill, which is going to be even more important now as the disparities in our healthcare system, our food systems, our economic, everything is being pointed out, all the chinks that we know education can help address. So it was an interesting not 90 days.
Yeah, I guess not. Well, we are not going to be talking about bills. We're not really actually even going to be talking about the General Assembly or the Senate or the House of Delegates or anything like that this morning, because you served on the Census Complete Count Committee, which was a very important committee in the legislature. And as everybody should know, and if you don't, now you do, this is the year of the census. It is the 2020 census, which comes around every 10 years. So you're actually, when you were getting into politics, this was around, and now it's now as you're coming.
Yes, my first, one of my first, I think we had 2 special sessions, and one of the special sessions in 2012 was redistricting. And so that's one of the things that census data is used, the population count is used every 10 years to reapportion the federal representatives, your Congress people. And then it's also used to redraw the lines for all the legislative districts. And also some councils, locals use redistricting, use those numbers to redraw their districts for their city councils. So it affects representation in Annapolis, locally, in Baltimore City that I represent, in Maryland, across the state of Maryland and the country. It's done every 10 years. It's happened every 10 years since 1790.
Well, why do we do you have any idea why we need to have this census? I mean, is it basically just to be able to reapportion our representation in Washington and to allocate resources? I know.
Yeah, and now it's about, to say for Maryland, it's about $675 billion on the line. and an accurate count in the 2020 census. That ensures that every community gets what they need. And so there's more than 50 state and federal programs that rely on census data and its information. Look, one of the other things you might not know about me, I'm a sociologist, and I wrote my dissertation on the U.S. Census. So the census it's also part of my job as a state representative. I have to serve on the Maryland Complete Count Committee, which was actually created by executive order by Governor Hogan. And so it is a bipartisan, cross jurisdictions. We had business people, we had attorneys, we had teachers, we had state agencies, all worked for a year to really think about what can we do to make sure that Maryland, that we respond to the census and that every single person is counted.
That's yeah. I mean, it makes all the sense. Now, how do we participate in this? I know that I got a postcard in the mail. It may have been a letter. I can't remember what it was. But,
yes.
And it had a URL, and I put it in with a special code, and it took me all of about 6 minutes.
Right.
So this is not a long okay, can you get me a hamburger and a beer? I need to sit down and do this census. This is a fairly quick one.
Absolutely. Yeah, it takes, you did it quick. It takes max 10 minutes. And you know what? It's also available in 13 different languages. I don't know if you noticed that. You go on. And this is the first time. The census is usually just the postcard. You send out the postcard, or they send out, as you saw, there's a letter, and they keep sending you different pieces of mail until you respond. That's called the self-response period, right? And so we give everybody a chance to respond on their own. I did pull some local data if you're interested. Maryland, as of April 29th, 57.9% of people have responded, and that's actually higher than the national average. That's at 54.6%. And Anne Arundel County has a response rate of 63%. But Annapolis only has a response rate of 54.1%. So it's a little lower than the national average. It's a little lower than what the state is doing, but it is actually higher than some other cities. Baltimore City, we still have a long way to go. We're at 44.9%. And Annapolis is actually doing better, though, than Boston, Cleveland, Detroit, Los Angeles, New York, and Philadelphia. But, the important thing is to get for folks to respond. So I did do a little research to make sure that I made it Annapolis focused for all the folks, that give you some motivation.
When all this is said and done, what is the response rate nationally? Do you have any idea of what the government is looking for? I mean, they would love 100%. I know that.
Right. Yeah. So that rate ranges anywhere between, we can get up to 73, 75%. It depends on the states. States that have lots of people, the higher density, have a younger population, a lot of college students. Those are all people that tend to be undercounted. So what we've been focusing on Maryland is because we have everything. We have rural areas, we have urban areas, and a lot of those, sometimes these communities don't really want to respond to the government. They think it's an intrusion. But then we don't get an accurate count. So we've been doing a lot to dispel any fears or rumors there might be about how this data is used. It's actually a federal offense, punishable with fines up to $250,000 and 5 years in prison if anybody ever reveals any information on your census. It is absolutely, it's kept confidential. And the numbers, though, getting these numbers impact what you get over the next 10 years. The other different thing about this census, this 2020 census, is that you can actually call in. We know that there is such thing as a digital divide. And you know this, John, like you do a podcast and you're online, et cetera. But I know there are folks that are like, I can't get it because my phone doesn't get it, or I don't have internet, or my speed isn't there. And so the Census Bureau knows that, and we have a phone number. So you can actually call and get counted. And if I could give you that number, maybe you'll print it too.
Oh, absolutely.
It's 844-330-2020, and that's for English, 844-330-2020. And for Spanish language, it's 844-468 2020. So it's 844-468-2020. So again, that's the same thing. I call just to test it myself. Someone picks up the phone and there's a special ID number that's on that card that you have, and you give them that ID number and you tell them how many people are in your household. Make sure you count the children. Make sure you count anybody who was in your house on April 1st. So it's anyone. They don't have to be on the lease. They don't have to be on the mortgage. They don't have to be related to you. If they're in your home and they're part of the community, they need to be counted.
So April 1st is sort of the barometer date that the government is using on that. And that brings up a question. I mean, my daughter lives over in Montgomery County, and she has a roommate because she's just graduated school, and nobody can afford the rent out in Montgomery County without a roommate. Right. So that's,
Right.
So how does that work? I mean, do they both report as a housing unit, even though they're not related and just, essentially friends?
They can decide. They can choose if they are individuals. It is by household. So you count who's in the household, and they can decide who's the head of household. Or they can call in and get a census, do it separately. But it's whoever, it's by household. So you really should count everybody in the household. There's a special process for dorms and for nursing facilities and for, other congregate housing. So you could go on and get that special form.
Wow. Okay. So you guys have really thought of, I say you guys, or those guys you've got enough on your plate, but the census has really sort of thought of all different aspects of that. Now,
as I told you, the census has been in operation since 1790, and so it once upon a time, a federal marshal, state marshal, went out and counted. Just the heads of households, and asked who was in the house, and they only talked to the head of the household. And so in 1960, we started this process of individuals being able to respond themselves, and it's been an evolution, just not unlike our country. We've changed our laws, we've adjusted, we've grown based on the information, and we have one of the most democratic in terms of the big ideology that everybody is a part of this country, that we got to count everybody. And then we use that information to make decisions about where schools should go, how many firefighters you need in a particular community. These are all SNAP benefits, emergency preparedness funding, public health funding, food assistance. The census data is used for so much, and that's why it's so important that we all participate.
Well, one of the things a question I've got is that we have a number of undocumented residents that are throughout the country and Maryland and pretty much everywhere. And there is this distrust of the government. And I certainly can think when you get a federal marshal coming, knocking on your door saying, I want to see the head of the household, that can never be a good,
that was back in 1840. So we don't do that anymore.
Yeah. But how do you address we want to count the undocumented as well.
Right.
And,
right.
We want to count the ones, for lack of a better term, the immigrants that are here legally and illegally, because we need to know this. We need to know what resources we need. But what personal information are you gathering in the census when you fill that out?
As little, you can just be counted. You can provide as little. It's not required that you answer all 9 questions. It's just your name, then and the number. That's it. And so you don't really have to provide your age. You don't have to provide any identifying information. And I have to reinforce that whatever information is provided cannot be shared with any other federal agency or local agency. Those counts go to the Census Bureau. And in fact, the Census Bureau itself gets the information. It collates the numbers and it reports back the numbers up to the president and to Congress in order to certify that. So it is really, really protected in a way that sometimes I wish our online, when I do a search on Google or if I do a search on DuckDuckGo or any other platform or I like a story in Facebook, my personal information isn't protected. But when you respond to the census, it is protected in a way that privacy is just the absolute value, and it maintains the integrity. If people understand that this is a bipartisan, non-political, in the sense that no party benefits more than any other from making sure that everybody is counted. And so that's the other thing I enjoy about this is that, again, I'm serving on this complete count committee with people from different parties, and the legislature and the governor. We've appropriated money to do exactly what you were talking about, is to find trusted partners in the community who can get the message out. So we established grant programs. We spent over, I think it was close to $2 million getting the word out. And really letting local jurisdictions decide. Every single jurisdiction has its own complete count committee. So I serve on the Baltimore City Complete Count Committee also, and they come up with ideas about how to promote it. But, we're really connecting with people in the Latino community, the immigrant communities. We have people come from all over, from Russia, from all over who need to be enumerated. And so we partner with people in those communities to get the word out.
So it's not a concern for people that are worried about their information. You can provide as little or as much information as you want. And even when you go to the much, it's not that much that they're asking. Are there scams that are associated with this? I imagine there are.
Thank you. Yes. The Attorney General and local states attorneys are alerting people that no one is calling you on the phone and asking you for your Social Security number. That is not part of the census. And so don't respond to that. At this point, no one should be coming to your door. And in fact, why the self-response rate is so important in this pandemic, and it has changed what the Census Bureau is going to be doing. We've extended the self-report period. Typically what will happen is the self-report period would probably end around June. And then at that point, census enumerators start knocking on your door. In fact, I was a 2000 census enumerator. So I actually knocked on people's doors to find folks that hadn't responded. And it was fun. It was like a detective kind of going back and keep trying to find this person. And so obviously we don't know if we're going to be able to do that as a nation. We don't know if we're going to be able to find those people who did not have an opportunity to self-report. So we're really, really pushing that we increase that self-report rate up to 75 and 80%, and then with hopes that there can be we can figure out another way to count the rest of the folks.
Well, again, the self-report is very easy, and the census itself is very easy from when I took it. But what if? Okay, I get a lot of junk mail too. So what if I toss that out in the mail? Okay, I can call. I mean, I don't have a special code now on that postcard or the letter. I call this 844-330-2020 number, and they're like, "Okay, what's your code?" I'm like, 3.
Right.
How does?
Well, then you would provide some other information. You would ask because remember, they're interested in the household. Right. So that your household is assigned a number. It's not an individual. So they will try to look for your household and get you, because they don't know you. They don't know who you are. They don't know that you're here. It's not like your voter registration form. They're trying to find out who lives in this house. So it's the household that has the number. And so you'd give them the address. And I will check this out for sure, but it's my understanding that they'll check it by the address. And they'll look and see, if somebody's already responded at that household, because then that address would pop up.
Okay, fair enough. How do you handle homelessness?
So again, that's another special enumeration. We allow locals often to figure out how to count that, but people often can use their a local shelter. There's a special enumeration that goes out and counts people who are homeless or housing insecure, and we go out and make that. That's part of the special counts.
Right. Okay. So, and that would be somebody where a census worker or a census employee would come out and work with a local community to sit there and identify, say, okay, and it may be that the city of Annapolis may go out with some iPads and collect some information from
exactly.
a homeless camp or
Exactly.
something like that.
Exactly. And again, the rural areas where a lot of people are living in, as you said, campgrounds. So, the way that we're trying to figure this out is really very committed to making sure that people are counted. So what we do is we count people in shelters, and they do it for 3 days. Like they pick a day. And you said how many people were in the shelters. They count people at soup kitchens. We count people in non-shelters, outdoor locations, tents, and on the streets. And so again, the Census Bureau says for all those 3 days, this is where folks are. And so a lot of this, it's changed because we didn't. We have the physical distancing and the social distancing, and it's being varied by state. So there's still a lot of decisions that have to be made. But the way it was done in the past is that there'd be 3 days where the Census Bureau is going to go out and count those populations.
Right. Makes sense. But and again, if you haven't received, I guess the self-reporting period is still going on, so people are still receiving the postcards and whatnot. At this point.
Yeah, I've been doing an experiment myself. I've been waiting to see. We finally did it because I can't continue to talk about participating in the census, and I didn't participate. So I held out as long as I could until April 1st, and I actually had gotten 4 different pieces of mail. And so I understand there was a postcard sent last week. So there's still, the Census Bureau will continue to send you mail until you respond. And again, we're fairly certain that process is going to continue at least through May and possibly through June. And they're just making decisions and then the overall reporting period is being extended to October right now. And then that gives time for the Census Bureau to turn all those numbers over to the president and to Congress. But it's a moving target.
It really is. And I would say that if you haven't received at least one mailing or something like that, I would give those numbers a call. They're 844-330-2020 for English or 844-468-2020 for Spanish, where you can go on to 2020census.gov and get some more information. But it's so important. And I'm looking at a little flyer that the census has sent out that of all the different, I don't want to say programs they fund, but the programs that are defined by what they fund, I guess might be a word. But, you look at Section 8 in public housing. You look at, obviously, education. You've got employment, unemployment insurance. It's a huge thing right now, what we're talking about here in Maryland. Entrepreneurship, you've got the small business development centers, the environment with, wildlife grants, family services, child abuse, spousal support. Not spousal support, but child support, food assistance, the SNAP programs. All of this is allocated based on how many people we have here. I mean, you can't turn around and say, if all of a sudden, I'm trying to think of like the teeniest little town in Maryland has a population boom and goes from, a population of 10 to a population of 100. They're not going to be able to handle that.
No, you're not going to get the federal funding if they need more roads, the school allocation. If so, for example, if you have, that's a prime example, high schools, if you don't count the number of 5-year-olds that you have right now, you're not going to have the high schools that you need in 10 years. And so it's really cool. And actually, there's a number that you can attach. For every person that's uncounted, it's $1,800 of federal funding. Right. That's for every person. So over 10 years, that's $18,000 to $20,000 per person that you're missing. So you just keep multiplying that. That's a lot of federal money. And look, this is tax dollars that you're paying. So no matter what your position is on taxes, we are paying taxes, and you need to get your fair share. We need to get our fair share in terms of we've put into the system. We are supporting each other through our public roads, our public schools, our public health system, our firefighters, all of these things. And if you want to make sure that your community gets what you've paid into it, fill out the census.
$1,800 a person.
Yeah.
See, now
that's the estimate.
the entrepreneur in me is going, okay, I need to call County Executive Pittman. I'll cut him a deal.
Yes.
I said, I'll find him people that haven't reported. He gives me 900 per person. He gets 900. He's 900 to the good. And
Well, it's interesting you say that, which is why some states, I mean, unfortunately, Maryland has put in a few $1 million, but other states have put in 3, 4, 5 times more than we have to really make sure that their folks are being counted, paying for TV ads, paying for bus ads. Before the physical district, hiring folks to go out and knock on doors and talk. It's worth the investment. So you're absolutely right. I'm actually hoping, giving that with the physical distancing, that a part of our COVID response really can be making sure that people are counted, and knowing that we're not going to be able to rely on the federal government to send census enumerators around in the way that they have. States are really going to have to step up, and communities and local jurisdictions are going to have to step up. And I know we have a lot of pressures on our finances, but this will come to an end. And this is a once in 10-year opportunity to get the right numbers. There's no redo in 2021. There's not a chance. It's not like the Olympics. We can't do it again.
right.
We have to do it now. It's in our Constitution.
Well, I don't think I could make it any more emphatic than what you did just there. 2020census.gov is the website. Again, the phone number is for English. If you have not received a mailing, if you've received a mailing, go ahead and do it. Fill it out. Honestly, 7-10 minutes max to do it. There's not a whole lot of information that they ask for. Just, verify the address, verify the number of people there, how many are under 18. I think they may ask if some are students.
Yeah.
It's real basic questions. I mean, they're not asking, are you here illegally? Give me your green card number if you've got it, or your passport number or social security number. They don't ask any of that. English, 844-330-2020. For Spanish, 844-468-2020. And make sure you get counted. It's, keep people safe. Keep the census people safe as well, so they don't have to go door to door as we live through this pandemic.
Yes.
That's here. I am encouraged by Maryland's numbers. I hope that they go up as the time goes on. And, I appreciate all your work on the Census Committee. I mean, I think this is, as you said, once every 10 years, it's such important work to be able to, get the federal funding that we need. I do somewhat laugh when you mentioned that it was $675 billion a year in aid that's going out, if you will. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, wow, we just did that in 2 weeks.
We should, yes. It's
the CARES Act.
I know. It's unprecedented. So that stresses the importance, because certainly that dollar amount is even more. And we know that the recovery is going to be a few years in the making. And so it's really important that for next year, we know we have the accurate count of who needs what and where.
Well, I'll tell you, thank you very much for your time this morning. This is Senator Mary Washington from Baltimore City here with us, and she is on the Complete Count Committee for the legislature. And I do understand that you're from Philly, so I'm going to put you on the spot. And we're going to bring up the whole cheesesteak thing. But what's your favorite cheesesteak thing? And don't tell me it was you were just born there and you left when you were 3, because I know you graduated high school from up there. So you do have experience with cheesesteaks. Oh no, up there, so.
I go back. Oh yes, I go back every now and and I still have family. My brother's a member of the police force there, and we still go back there. Your best bet is a corner store. I don't want to diss Geno's or any of the Pats, the big ones, but find a local corner store in one of the neighborhoods. There's one or two on Market Street. One of the ones I really like is at 40th and Baltimore Street. Just go to a local place. But there's one if you're being a tourist and you're going downtown, the one that I like the most, it's Sonny's, and it's on Market Street, and that they're like mid-sized and really, really, really good.
I'm not sure I've ever been there. I know during my time at Temple, I had my name on a plaque at Jim's on South Street one time for it was a 2 a.m. finals. Okay, let's go get cheesesteaks kind of run. But
we used to do that because we'd go see Rocky Horror Picture Show back in the day. I'm a little older than you are.
No, you're not.
We do Rocky Horror Picture Show.
You know, we could get into it, but then we'd have to put that rating on this thing. You know, where's your neck? You know, come on, the bread, come on, this is awesome.
But yes, that's for Jim Steaks. But yeah, I haven't been there since those days, so I can't attest to what they're up to. But I have been to Sonny's on Market, like about maybe the 300 block or 400 block on Market.
I will have to check that out next time I'm there. Now, thank you for the memory of the TLA on South Street. That's awesome. and the Rocky Horror Picture Show. That is awesome. They should restart that. Is it showing anywhere around here?
I'm sure there's somewhere somebody's got to be doing, but you know what? I have not seen that. I think we have our next project.
You know, somebody said, "Oh, you got to get the DVD," and I said, "No, absolutely not. You've got to see that in a theater." No,
that's a live situation.
That's hysterical.
Somebody's got to throw the hot dogs, right?
That is true. Unbelievable. Well, Senator Washington,
right,
thank you for the information on the census, and let's get out there and fill it all out. Get counted.
Yes, be counted. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Take care.
This has been an update from Eye on Annapolis. Please visit us at eyeonannapolis.net. Follow us on Twitter at Eye on Annapolis. And be sure to subscribe to our daily news brief podcast, which is delivered every Monday through Friday to your phone or device at 7 a.m.